There you go.
Okay, let me hit my little thing that says, got it, good. Well, good morning, everyone. This is our last STEP class, Mental Health Information Sessions for Helping Professionals. And STEP stands for Science That Explains People. Now, let me get my little screen all set up and I will work. This is for Polk County Health Services, especially the Children's Mental Health Services, 4 virtual sessions on the Zoom platform, and all of them at 10 to 11. And this is our last one. And it's all presented by me, you poor babies. Okay, so this series includes the following 4 topics. Development. We did how our brain works and develops in session 1. Session 2 was behavior, how our survival instincts and temperaments affect our behavior. Session 3 was on adolescence, and it is such a telling session. If you didn't get that, at least get the video of it, because it's terribly important that you understand that that's completely, their brains are so completely different, 75 major differences. And the distress and trauma, that's today. Mental health management, interventions for daily life and different temperaments. So I figure that when adults know about how the human brain works and develops and how different children's and teens' brains are from the adult brain, we can protect everyone better. Now remember, this is session 4. First, a brief review. I do this each time for people who weren't in the other sessions, and I'm going to go through this rapidly because we have a lot to cover. So I'm just going to show you some slides from, previous sessions and mixing them in with other things. So hang on. Now, remember, mental health is more than the absence of an illness, mental illness or mental disorder. Being mentally healthy during childhood means reaching developmental emotional milestones, the things that we can predict for children, learning healthy social emotional skills, and a lot of kids aren't taught those, and how to cope when there are problems. In other words, learning to be resilient. Now, mental disorders among children are described as serious changes in the way children typically learn, behave, or handle their emotions, which cause distress. I have that in red because I want you to understand mental health means if you don't have mental health, you're mentally ill or you have a mental disorder, more than likely you are distressed and you have problems getting through the day. So mental health depends on managing distress, and that is huge. Many children occasionally experience worries and fears and display disruptive behaviors. That's normal. But if these symptoms are serious and persistent and they interfere with school or home or play activities, okay, where did I stop? Somebody muted me.
Interfere with play activities.
Interfere with play activities. The child may be diagnosed with a mental disorder. And I say may because each person who assesses you may come up with a different diagnosis and prognosis, which is so helpful. Okay, that's a personal prejudice. I shouldn't say that. Okay, these are indicators of children's mental health. If you're seeing this, you're seeing a mentally healthy child. Ability to show affection, or if not affection, friendship. And resiliency, healthy coping. They have the habits already in their life. Positivity and hope, curiosity and motivation, persistence and hardiness, and self-control and self-regulation. And if you find a child like that, send them to my house because none of my children ever had that. So now to protect their mental health, we must mitigate children's distress. So this is the definition. Stress is to stimulate. You need stress in your life. Some stimulation is essential to life because failure to stimulate an infant can result in failure to thrive, which means they're going to be developmentally delayed at the least, and at the most, the body may just decide, hey, we're out of here, and they die. So stimulation, some stress is vital. Now, distress, notice the DI, is to over or understimulate. Now, boredom is understimulation, and it's not as distressful. For some people, isn't just as distressful as trauma, but trauma is an extreme level of distress, overstimulation, beyond your ability to cope. Now, if it's beyond your ability to cope, is one of the most hopeful things I can think. It's a very hopeful statement. For if a person can develop protective distress management habits, not destructive, but protective distress management habits that are stronger, greater than their automatic distress reflexes, these habits act like a bulletproof vest to mitigate and buffer the negative effects and impacts of trauma. So this is what mitigate means. To mitigate is to buffer or reduce the effect of an impact of something negative. Think about Unmitigated means that nothing was buffered or reduced the negative effect. Now, a bulletproof vest mitigates and buffers the negative effects or impacts of a bullet on its target. The bullet's still gonna, if it hits the vest, you're still gonna be hurt. You're probably going to the hospital. You may have a broken rib. You may have a cracked whatever. So hopefully they hit the vest, because if they don't hit the vest, you're likely to be harmed far more. The vest buffers and mitigates the impact of that bullet on its target. We may not be able to do a dead gum thing about all the things, the violence children see and hear and everything else. We have no control over much of that. And we can't always, see that they have food. But if we can teach them how to mitigate the effects of that damage, they will be hurt less. And I'm going to clear my throat. They'll be hurt less. And that's all we can do in many cases. And that's sometimes enough to save them. So do not ever think you're not doing enough if you're just mitigating. You're just easing the dip. If you put a bandage on something, it's not oozing, it's not going to get infected. That's positive. So mitigation is what we are going to be about. Now, this is our model. We've used this the last 3 times, and I'm just going to go back to it. Life is like being in the middle of a seesaw. It's mounted precariously on a large ball. That means the seesaw is shifting unexpectedly all the time and is super sensitive to any adjustments we may make. This little baby up here is just trying desperately to stay. Now, there's that dadgum bar back. Miss Julie, we've got the bar. I don't know what to do. Okay, well, whatever. Now, our only job is to learn how to keep our balance so that we can do everything else in life that we're supposed to do. The problem is that we can learn, develop, and have mental health only when we're in balance. So if we don't stay in balance, we got to stay on the beam. But if we don't stay there, we can step off. We can step off, we can sit down, we can do all sorts of stuff. But when we are functioning fully, we have to be in balance. Balance is also known as homeostasis. Now, you can think this another way. Life's like a moving mobile, a balance beam, okay? And our job is to learn how to mount and dismount safely and how to perform on the beam. Now, you don't have to be performing all the time. You can learn to dismount very safely, but you don't want to be knocked off the beam. To do this, we must learn how to stay on the beam most of the time, okay? Well, that's not easy. We're not in charge of the beam. Life is. And we did not come into the world knowing anything about the beam, our job, or the consequences of not staying on the beam. And that's what life is about. And believe me, we know very little when we're here first born. Experience teaches us, and teaching us actually develops us. What we learn develops us. We can learn in a very negative way. We'll develop in a very negative way, or in a positive way. We'll develop in a positive way. What we learn changes us. Now, when life throws us a curveball, we can be overwhelmed, lose our balance, be knocked off life's seesaw, and be flat on our back on the ground. We've got to watch out for those balls, and we got to be prepared for many of them. We are mentally, emotionally, and sometimes socially overwhelmed. And guess what? Being overwhelmed is the definition of psychological trauma. That is the definition. Now, nothing is more of a curveball than what happens during the teen years. You saw that last session. I mean, being just in your teen years is enough to overwhelm many kids. Now, psychological trauma is defined as a level of mental, emotional, or social distress that exceeds or overwhelms one's coping skills and habits. If you can make the coping skills and habits stronger at that level of stress, aha, you've mitigated the impact. Now, psychological trauma exists within the person, not in the event or situation. And I need to move this deadgum bar, okay, or the circumstance. Now, we all respond differently to anything challenging or threatening. In other words, to any adversity that happens to us. The same situation can be mildly inconvenient to one person and absolutely devastating to another. And, some people just need more support than others to overcome and recover. That's just how they're wired. Now, physical and psychological resilience are essential to mental health. They both require flexibility, strength, stamina, endurance, in other words, hardiness and balance. Look at that tree. It's been under, duress since it was a tiny little twig. It's coming out of rock, and it's been under a steady wind to one side, but it's thriving. It's not just surviving. Resilience means you can bend, but you don't break. Look, I'm sticking with psychological resilience. So psychological resilience is defined as the ability to rise to meet challenges and setbacks, to adapt to change. That's what our little, clown is doing, and keep going in the face of adversity and to recover and bounce back. Now, a layman's definition of psychological resilience is the ability to remain on the beam and sort of balanced in spite of what life throws at you. If you can learn to duck those balls as they come in, but stay on the beam, you're so much better off. Or if you can flatten yourself on the beam so you can pop back up, you'll learn to surf on that beam. How much practice you have in building the habits means that nobody can actually throw you a surprise. Just you pretty much are prepared for anything. But that takes a lot of support and practice. Now, experience and stimulation, that's stress, shapes us. And I'm going to move my bar again. I do not know why my bar will not go away. Now, it shapes our neural architecture. When you hear anyone talk about architecture, what they're actually talking about is networks. And we arrive with all our networks. I mean, all of our neurons. All of our neurons are there. Now, look, this graph that we're looking at here is 100 billion neurons at newborn, 100 billion at 1 month, 100 billion at 6 months, and 100 billion at 2 years. No more neurons. They've just been networked. Now, when we arrive, we get all of our neurons. We have 100 billion in our brain, trillions in our bodies. They're all there. But only 25% have been pre-wired, networked, in other words. And what's going to shape our architectural networks? Okay, hey, our architecture, our neural architectures, our networks. We arrive with 25% of those networks done. And, that's all. Think about what a newborn baby can do. Leak, squeak, eat, sleep, poop, and that's it. But the rest of it, they have to learn so they can network, so they can develop. And that means the other 75% of our neurons are waiting to life to provide the experiences, to network them, to change our architecture, to make more out of nothing. You start out with 100 billion, just not connected hardly at all. 25% of them are chatting with each other. And now, 2 years later, look what you've got. That's exciting. Experiences wires and connects our neurons into networks, and that is development. But only 25% of the development is done, and that 75% are waiting, and that is up to us. What we give is an experience, that stimulation, that stress that we allow our children to have shapes their neural architecture from now on. And it can shape it in several different ways. If they get stressed, distressed, this stops. This stops. That's why kids who are distressed do not learn the way other kids do. And they don't behave the way other kids do. And they don't look like other kids as far as their behavior goes. So understand, we're building the kids. And what we're building into them is either distressful or just stressing. Now, this is the most important fact. The neurons that are working, in other words, they're building, get fed. They get fed, and I'm talking about, food in the body, blood, oxygen, and energy. That's the little fish, okay? They're following the big fish around. The big fish is experience and stimulation. So if you give a person an experience or they experience one themselves, their blood, oxygen, energy is going to go to that experience. Now, the neurons and networks that are stimulated are the neurons that are working and to get the blood, oxygen, energy. And the others that are not stimulated starve. So if all my blood, oxygen, energy is going over to being upset, guess what's not getting developed? I'm not changing the networks I need to. It's either use it or lose it. Now, whatever we're doing the most gets most of our blood, oxygen, energy. And when a child is upset, in other words, acting out, his blood, oxygen, energy needs to be redirected. Not punished, not ignored, redirected. Change what the body is doing and the mind will follow. So if you have starving networks, that changes the brain's architecture too. Now, we have a picture here with normal networks and starved networks. You have one at the top, normal networks, typical mini neurons, mini connections. I'm sorry. I have allergies terribly. And then the starved networks have fewer, okay? Now, both of these depictions are of the prefrontal cortex and the hippocampus. We've learned already that those are charged of cognitive development. Now, if they're not getting enough blood, oxygen, and energy, they're not making new connections. They're increasing. Well, look at that one. That typical neuron, lots of blood, oxygen, energy going there. Happy brain, new connections, increases those networks in the prefrontal cortex and the hippocampus. Whoa, disrupted connections. We used to call them damaged. We call them disrupted now. Those networks shrink because they're being starved. They're not getting the blood, oxygen, energy they need. The longer we're upset, the stronger our alarm system, our survival system, our, worry and everything else get. When the alarms go off, they get all the blood, oxygen, energy, and there's my little, my little networking brain is not doing a thing. The weaker our cognitive developmental health networks get. So you don't want any of that blood oxygen energy spending very much time in the field of upset. Children need calming habits and lots of adult support. And when we're upset, our blood oxygen energy are diverted away from our prefrontal cortex and our hippocampus. And I need to move that dead gun block again. Okay. And to feed our alarm system. So our alarm system to get the blood oxygen energy that we need actually, and is intended for development. Now, our sensations and emotions are both called feelings. Now, our sensations, you all know what your sensations are? Well, let's figure this out. We are 85% physical senses and sensations: heart rate, blood pressure, body temperature, breathing rate, muscle tension, all of that. Those are physical sensations. Taste, everything else. Okay, those are all physical. Then there are 15% mental emotional. You have a physical sensation. Your heart starts to race. You get a little hot. You get a little, and are you in love or are you angry? Okay. Well, you have to discern that with the emotions. The body sensation comes first. The emotion then gets named. This is always first. And this is the second is to name the emotion that you have assigned to that feeling. Okay. Now, I'm not saying it's either or. What I'm saying to you is they work together. But physical, if you change the physical, you will always change the emotional. Everything begins with our body. Change the breathing, which relaxes the muscles, which slows the heart rate, which lowers the blood pressure, which changes the body's temperature, which calms us down. Yeah, you get to it the way you can. And neuroplasticity. This is our brain is designed to work this way. Neuroplasticity means our networks are like plastic, easy to change and alter over and over like Play-Doh. And we make a Play-Doh in our brain. We don't like the way things are going in life. We can change it. When we replace our experiences and actions with new ones, and then we repeat them, our older ones get weaker. Guess why? Because we are repeating them. We're taking the blood oxygen energy away from anything else, and our newer ones get stronger. Well, if our newer ones are good ones, this is good. We change our brain's architecture either way, but we're building new habits. We build new networks, and depending on which way we're building, you know. Now, what we practice, repeat, wires and rewires our brain. That's what I want you to know. Look, if you're heading a direction and you look at this direction and go, oh man, that's not leading me anywhere. I'm using all my blood oxygen energy in that direction. I need to change directions. So now I'm going to split my blood oxygen energy and go in a new direction because I haven't given up the other one yet. I'm trying to build a new habit, but I keep relapsing. But if I don't relapse a whole lot, and finally I am not relapsing at all, and I'm spending all my blood oxygen energy on the new, well, I've got a habit. I've got a brand new habit. And look, you know what? Staying in balance as much as possible is resilience. Staying where the power is, right in the middle. You can shift your weight to either side. It doesn't matter. You can only reset when we're balanced and when we're calm and when we're in homeostasis. When you're upset and you want to be all set, well, look, if you get way out of set, what we need to know what to do when our internal alarms go off. That's going to get all my blood, oxygen, energy. It's going to rob my thinking. I need to be able to quickly shift my weight. I have practiced this enough that I can do that instantly. Okay. Get ourselves calm again. Being calm when the situation is very distressful is our resilience showing. Calm is biochemically balanced. How reliably we can find calm and balance is our state of resilience. When you're upset and you want to be all set, the most important single habits you can build is being able to reset. In other words, to manage staying calm, even when things are crazy. Now, you can't do that by yourself to start with. You got to have somebody teach you and then work with you. But that's what your goal is. Ask yourself, do I know what to do when I'm upset? Can I calm myself? Is it my habit? Do I have someone around to help me? That's what you need all the time. We can literally redirect our blood oxygen energy anytime we wish to. We simply have to know the process to do it with and have somebody there to support us and remind us. Because when we're upset, it's hard to be remembering. We can change our blood oxygen energy anytime we want. We just have to know how, and if we need a little help, have someone there to help us. That makes us resilient. That mitigates the damage that we will get from that same situation without anything else in our lives. We can't change the situation, then change ourselves. Try to put our, our guards up so that we can't be hurt as badly. Now, the number one goal of nature, our DNA and genes, is our survival. And it makes our number one job of our brain to overreact and jump to conclusions, to OJ. Anything we perceive, doesn't have to be, but we perceive it as challenging, distressing, or threatening, automatically triggers our automatic survival instincts and reflexes. I mean, our alarm goes off. We can't help that. And our fight, flight, and freeze is all about being upset. Those are automatic. Those are triggered and they come. But we have to learn how to deal with that. And when a situation is not actually threatening, these reflexes can cause our behavior to appear out of control. I mean, we're acting in a way that people go, what's wrong with you? What's going on with you? I don't understand. You are acting this way and there's no reason to act this way. But you have perceived it. Your instincts have gone off and you're stuck with that. Now, what do you do? And if you don't tame them and manage them, our survival instincts and reflexes can overwhelm us and knock us off the beam. And if it does, then we're traumatized. We get ourselves in the situation of working ourselves up into being traumatized. There's lots of times when, and trauma doesn't, everybody gets knocked off the beam. Just how quickly you get back up makes a difference. Being overwhelmed is being traumatized. It can happen to anyone. Now, let's talk about behavior. Since being calm is the only behavior that gets us anywhere, keeps us on the beam, to behave is to be calm, okay? We must teach ourselves how to behave, how to be calm in every situation. Now, remember, all behavior has a purpose. Behavior is an observable outside sign of what is going on in the inside of an individual. Look, which of these children is calm? Which child is calm? No, it doesn't take a rocket science to figure that out. How do we know? Well, we assessed his or her behavior. One appeared on the outside to be calm. One appeared on the outside to not be calm. Look, I'm at about a little bar again. These are automatic fight, flight, and freeze behaviors. These are our survival reflexes in response to a perceived threat. Doesn't have to be a threat, but our alarm goes off. We're kind of below our top for a moment, but that's a scream for help. If we have fight, that's automatic. Physical, hitting, biting, spitting, verbal, cursing, yelling, hateful words, bullying, threats, controlling, manipulating, passive aggressive. That's only when it gets out of hand. I mean, if I could mitigate any one of those and slow them all down, and I could actually prevent myself from hitting, biting, spitting, cursing, yelling, hateful words, and so forth. But fight comes automatically, and I've got to have some way to deal with it. Flight? Well, not everybody fights. Some people do run. And it's not always running away and truant. Sometimes it's just clowning. You can't be serious because that pins you in. And some people, you give them any kind of a little bit of distress and they are daydreaming immediately. They've got a daydream for everything. And some people don't fight. They, don't run. And some people just freeze and shut down. And you know what? Stuffing it down, hiding or fainting or actually self-harm, we can understand that. We can give some empathy and sympathy and compassion to that. But man, we don't seem to have the same thing for biting, fighting, sitting, cursing, yelling, whatever, bullying, threats. So these fight, flight, and freeze behaviors end up causing us so much trouble. We get in detention, juvenile justice, jail, or arrested for a whole lot of things. The people who get the help are the ones that cause society the least damage. They hurt themselves the most. And those that stuff it down, freeze, faint, hide, and they're more likely to commit suicide. Look, all of these behaviors are about fear. Something made me fearful. I perceived it as damaging or terrifying. Frustration, discomfort, distress, anxiety, and trauma. That's the reason we're showing these behaviors. And it ends up, if nobody helps us and we don't know that we can help ourselves, with anger, rage, aggression, helplessness, and hopelessness. It's not going anyplace positive. So I've got to redirect my blood, oxygen, and energy from that scream for help to actually learning how to help it. They're really help me behaviors. And nature's immediate response is automatic. We don't have a lot of control over that. But how quickly we can get resilience, our movement, our ability to change behaviors. Now, what offsets this immediate response must be learned. So we need to set up practicing in, if you don't know what's going on in homes, you do in childcare facilities, schools, institutions of all sorts. We could make sure every child got this information. But these kind of behaviors, that's not all. So all of us have different triggers and that set off our automatic distress alarms and could bring our fight, flight, and freeze into. And if any of our needs not being met, any need at all can actually trigger somebody's distress alarms. Just hunger for me, I turn into an absolute crazy, the Snickers commercial, the diva, the nasty little bitch that just drives everybody crazy. That's me if I'm hungry. And I have no feedback system. People don't have feedback system then. The feedback system, well, the first thing that shuts down. When you're under distress, you have no physical feedback whatsoever. You don't know what you're like. You can't picture yourself. You just know you need food. Well, if you have friends with you, they can go, oh, let's stop at McDonald's. Let's stop at the drive-in. Let's get you something. Here, they'll shove it in your mouth because you're such a person. That's your trigger. That's my trigger. But it can be looks, sounds, gestures, words, touches, smells. It includes hunger, fatigue, thirst, boredom, feeling unimportant, ignored or put down, that we don't belong, afraid that we won't know the answer or somebody will make fun of us, or insecure, and any form of physical or psychological discomfort or pain or anything that reminds us of the past trauma. Any of those things into a trigger. Do we teach our children their triggers or what to do when those triggers happen? No, we should. I have to have people around me who can deal with my hunger. Because I need to eat regularly. And I have friends who say to me, I said, well, I'm not being crazy. I'm at this. No, but you've got the look in your eye. If you don't get something to eat in a minute, you're going to. We're stopping right now. You need those kinds of friends. You need those kinds of teachers. You need those kinds of, don't set a rule. No snacks before lunch. If I'm wired that way and you don't give me a snack, I'll bite your leg. And we have our temperament. Temperament describes a person's personal style, the way they view the world. It's very different from personality. It's part of our pre-wired 25% we get at birth. We get those fight, flight, and freeze. Some people get all three of those. Some people get just one. But with temperament, there's generally 5 characteristics that describe it. And it's actually, I should have put it on this slide. And Julie, if I remember, I'll put it on the handout. You can go to 0to3.com. and put in temperament and search that. And they'll give you a great little discussion so that you can separate it from personality. Activity level. Look, sociability, frustration, emotional. Ask a parent how the person was as an infant. Were they active or not active? Cautious around others or outgoing? Were they shy or not? Easily frustrated, more tolerant of frustrating situations, quiet and less reactive, more noisy or reactive, or disturbed by most any change, or very tolerant of change. How you are as an infant and a toddler is your temperament. And so, because you have it when you're born, and you need to learn about it so that you can learn to manage it. Because not only do you have to manage your fight, flight, and freeze, temperament adjusts your fight, flight, and freeze. Temperament determines how much we preserve anything to be bothersome, uncomfortable, painful, or threatening, and how much we react to it. Each of us is pre-wired with our own sensitivity to distress, pain, and trauma. And, some people can watch this and laugh, and other people are cringing, and people are closing their eyes. And, we all have a different way of dealing with it. Some of us stay in the green, some of us are in the yellow, some of us in the orange, some of us in the red. Some are born in the red, stay in the red our entire lives. Hello. Now, hunger or fatigue or being upset cranks it up. I have 4 different gauges here, and I've labeled. Now, the gauge labeled mellow is in the green, and the most Mr. Mellow gets when he's upset is concerned and frustrated. Then there's the one that's in the yellow. That's the sensitive, and I call it Miss Sensitive because 60% of people in this category are female and 40% are male. But sensitive gets so worried that they get worried. And then there's the ones in the orange. They're highly sensitive. They're the ones that get anxious and snarky. And I love those people because you always know where they are. And then hypersensitive. They're always in the red, angry, hateful, and hurtful. Now think about this. You move across these. You can move across them all the time. But mellow, most of the time, is just in the green. Sensitive is in the yellow. Highly sensitive in the orange. Hypersensitive. Now, when um, anthropologists look at this, they go, well, according, if you break this into like how many people in society, there's about 30% mellow, 30% sensitive, 30% highly sensitive, and 10% hypersensitive. Oh, yeah, 10% hypersensitive. They should be in jail. Most of them are. I should be too, but I escaped. Look, anytime you have hunger or fatigue or being any kind of upset, it cranks up your temperament, because whatever you're showing when you're quite comfortable is different than when you're very uncomfortable. Mellow really becomes like sensitive. Sensitive becomes like highly sensitive. Highly sensitive becomes hypersensitive. Oh my God, where does hypersensitive go? From angry, hateful, hurtful to harmful. And that's why that 10% ends up being in our juvenile justice populations or adult jail populations. And by the way, when you have a survey of kids in school, there's 10% not covered because they're in juvenile justice. Okay, so we have our behaviors, fight, flight, and freeze, and those are automatic. And then we get how to deal with them in our temperament. But guess what? You know, we have to manage that temperament the same way we have to manage those behaviors. And never in the history of calming down is anyone ever calmed down by being told to calm down. That isn't going to happen. You know, you have to understand that not everyone has experienced being calm. Not everybody knows what calm feels like. Not everyone has practiced getting and staying calm. They weren't calmed as a baby. They weren't calmed as a toddler. They're not calmed in school. They're just sent to the office. I have to ask myself, do I know what it feels like to be calm? Until I was an adult, I had never felt calm, and I saw no value in it. What does calm look like and sound like? Well, it looked like weakness to me. Can I produce a feeling of calm? Well, I didn't want to. Do I value being calm? Do I want to be calm? I could tell you honestly, I didn't. I grew up in a situation where if you didn't protect yourself, you were vulnerable. If you were this kind of unaware kid, you were calm all the time. I thought calmness was not being prepared. I didn't realize that you couldn't actually be prepared fully until you were calm. I didn't realize I was killing myself by not being calm. Now, look, positive stress management habits is what we want our kids to build, okay? And resilience. When they have those habits, they build their resilience. They're formed like we teach sports and fundamental motor skills by consistent and repeated modeling and coaching and practice skill sets. First, we actually build a set of skills. That means practice, 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 practice under coaching, okay? And then we practice them until we don't have to think about it. Look, could you walk and talk when you got here? When you were born? No. You had to practice them. You practiced them for a long time before you got them down perfectly. 2 or 3 years, 4 or 5. Talking, maybe still. You learn slowly and steadily. Like our habits, wire and rewire us. A habit is a learned attitude or behavior or skill, which through regular, consistent repetition and practice becomes automatic and is accomplished without thinking. A habit is a learned reflex, like walking and talking, and it's a slow process. The average time to reach automacy, that's, without thinking, is 66 days with a range of 18 to 254 days. It's a slow progress. It's better than no progress. And you need to say that if you have a teenager, because sometimes it takes them 2 years to learn a new habit, and you have helped them every day. Look, our children are nearly drowning in distress. Over half of all mental health problems are associated with toxic stress, unmitigated distress. That distress didn't have to end up being a mental health problem. For 50% of kids, look, 50% of mental health problems are within our reach of curing, making well, doing something about. We can prevent them. But if we don't deal with the distress that they're under, and if we add to the distress they're under, we're going to just have them more mentally ill. So remember, they're nearly drowning, and over half of mental health problems are associated with toxic stress, unmitigated stress. Nobody's doing anything about that. How many and where the relief faucets are placed are our first considerations. That's a bucket of distress. I could put faucets all around up here. It's not nearly as good as the faucets down there, because only when it's at the very bottom and there's very little distress, I've got a way to relieve it instantly. I don't have to wait till it gets to the top. We must recognize when children's needs are not met and anxiety is taken hold. Anxiety is the one that is not ever figured out. Nobody ever figures that one out. When families cannot or will not do the job, we see that society does, that our child care facility staff members, our teachers in school are trained to understand that when a child is upset, what to do. When anyone, a child or adult, is upset, redirect where their blood, oxygen, and energy is going. You have control of that. They have control of it. They don't know they have control yet, so you have to redirect it with them. You have to model it. Do not say, I need you to calm down. Calm down right now. Calm. Well, nobody's going to calm down if you say that. Instead, ask, can you whistle? First of all, that will surprise them. If they say yes, you say, well, what song can you whistle? Then do it with me. And then do it with them. If you can't whistle, don't ask that question. Oh, yeah, you can ask it. They can whistle. Or ask them to join you in blowing out slowly several times, at least 7 times. At least half the kids will do that with you. The other half will go stick it. Or ask them if they know the yoga tree pose. Yeah, then demonstrate it. You don't have to do it, Ty. Put your one foot on your ankle. We'll see it in a minute. So you want to distract them whenever they're just losing it. You want to distract them. You don't want to say, I need you to calm down. Now get calm. Well, no. Can you whistle? Can you blow out with me? Do you know the yoga pose? Or ask them, can you hop? And begin to hop on one. You hop on one foot and ask them to join you. Don't ever ask the child to do something you're not going to do with them. Do it with them. Okay, you're modeling. Or, now this one will get you. This is not a good thing, but I have used this with teenagers who've been going off. I've asked them what their favorite curse word is and then asked them to say it forcefully 7 times in a row. You'll understand why in a little bit. Some people do not do curse words, don't believe in teaching anybody curse words, and certainly not asking a teenager to do that. You try being in the room with some of the teenagers I've been in jail, they love saying the word. They just got permission. And guess what? They've just relieved themselves of so much tension that they end up laughing. And guess what? You got their attention. And that's what you were going for. Do whatever works, but don't ask them to calm down. Show them how. Terribly important that you understand that we have to carry whatever we're going to teach them with us. What do we carry with us? Belly breathing, laughter, smiling, even fake work, singing, humming, whistling, movement, self-talk, and cursing. Rhythm, music, and movement. All of those, we don't need anybody else with us, but we need someone with us to teach us how to do these things first. And this is what we're going to do. We're going to teach them. We're going to teach you today, and you're going to teach others how to calm down. Now, does how we breathe change our biochemistry and our attitudes and behaviors? Does how we breathe do that? Yes, it does. Just how we breathe. The top-rated skill that calms us down, that rescues us, is breathing to thrive. And let me tell you, it is very different than breathing just to thrive. Let me just survive. So breathing to thrive, very different than just surviving. That's what we do all the time. We're breathing to survive right now. We're not breathing to thrive. We have to practice breathing to thrive. Okay? And educators, if you're in the audience, this is for you too, because you're going to have to learn to do this in order to coach them. Don't ask them to do something you're not doing with them. There are only 2 rules for breathing to thrive. We are breathing to thrive only when we're using our diaphragm. And there are people who have never used their diaphragm voluntarily in their lives. They don't know where it is. It's right under your rib cage. It works like a little pump. And in diaphragmatic breathing or belly breathing, they're trained, diaphragmatic is in your belly, and so your belly breathing is therapeutic, which means to calm and restore. That's what belly breathing or diaphragmatic breathing means, okay? It literally rescues you. It lowers your cortisol. It brings in all the other chemicals, serotonin, dopamine, oxytocin, anandamide, and endorphins. Get them all when you're breathing to thrive. And there's 1 rule: use your diaphragm. 2, breathe out longer than you breathe in, and that calms us. Breathing out longer than we breathe in calms us. It's only 2 rules. That calms us, okay? Use your diaphragm, and to calm down, breathe out longer. If you aren't calm, use your diaphragm. To calm down, breathe out longer. Now find your diaphragm, okay? You know where it's located in your body. Find your diaphragm, extend your tongue like when you were going to say, ah, for the doctor. Now you leave your tongue in your mouth. Just go, ah, like you stuck that thing in your, the little board in your mouth, pushing your tongue down. Okay. Now, pant slowly, like a dog. Keep your tongue on your, keep your tongue in your mouth. Open your mouth. Do Now go. Okay. You're not going. going you found it. It's moving. Your diaphragm is moving. Put your hand right about 2 inches above your navel. Okay. For me, it's on that little roll that's right over my belt. I can put it there. That's where my diaphragm is. Now I put my tongue in the right place, keeping it in my mouth, and pant once or twice. Isn't that amazing? You found your diaphragm instantly. You can teach little kids this. I taught 2-year-olds in a child care facility, and the staff was amazing. Kids went around, I have my diaphragm. Ta-da, you're using diaphragm. Okay, so find your diaphragm. Now, this is diaphragmatic or belly breathing. It's different than what you normally do, unless you're one of those wonderful people to do it. Now, normal belly breathing is deep, slow, regular, 4-second diaphragmatic breathing. Inhale for 4 seconds, exhale for 4 seconds. Let's try it. When it gets to the bottom, we're going to do it. I'm going to count it. 1, Mississippi, 2, Mississippi, 3, Mississippi, 4, Mississippi, 1, Mississippi, 2, Mississippi, 3, Mississippi, 4, Mississippi, 1, Mississippi, 2, Mississippi, 3, Mississippi, 4, Mississippi, 1, Mississippi, 2, Mississippi, 3, Mississippi, 4, Mississippi. Got it? Okay. This immediately increases the flow of all the calming biochemicals you can possibly imagine, and it lowers your cortisol. It literally rescues you. Now, I have to tell you, when you are already calm, this will keep you calm forever. So if you're going into a meeting that's going to be difficult with someone, you're going to have parents come in, you're going to have a kid that's really acting. Whenever you need to keep yourself calm, and you're about to go into something, do this breathing exercise. 4 in, 4 out. 4 in, 4 out. And you will just stay as calm as a cucumber. Now, if you're not calm and you want to get calm, do like the whale. Blow. Blowing stops the flow of cortisol and starts the flow of your calming biochemical immediately. Blow. It rescues you. Engage your diaphragm. Always engage your diaphragm. Put your tongue where it belongs, okay? Now really blow. Blow somebody's eyebrows off. And then blow slower and softer, and do that for 7 to 11 seconds. Then blow even slower and softer. Blow really hard the first time. Blow slower and softer for 7 to 11 seconds. And then blow even slower and softer. Soften more. Get a bit slower with each subsequent breath. Now remember, when you're first doing this, be seated. Sit down. You're changing your chemistry. You just got rid of your cortisol and you're blowing out nothing but wonderful calming chemicals into your body. You could just fall over. So really blow, then blow slower for 7 to 11 seconds. Now that sounds easy. Some people can't do more than 5. Some can't do more than 3 the first time they try it. So each time, think slower and softer, slower, softer, slower, softer. Think of blowing out like slowly lowering the lights of a dimmer switch. Slower, softer. Or think of blowing out like lowering the heat, cooling the pan, controlling or managing the heat. Just make sure that if you aren't calm, this is what you do. And you do it with the kids. You can say, hey, do this with me. Or can you do like the whale? Anything to get them, distract them a little bit. And if you have taught them when they're calm where to find their diaphragm, then you have to, if everybody in school knew this, you found a kid in the hallway having a problem, go, where's your diaphragm? Put your tongue in the border. Does it? They'll do it with you. Or if you've not really never done breathing exercises in your life, do this. Do 1 second in and 2 seconds out. All right, that's longer out than in. So you're going to help calm yourself, even if you can only do it for 1 second. 1 second in, 2 seconds out. All right, then let me get on here. Followed by 2 seconds in and 4 seconds out. Breathe in, breathe out longer than you're breathing in. Body always stores at least 15 seconds worth of air. And then repeat that 4 times, followed by 4 seconds in and 8 seconds out, and repeat it 4 times. Let's go for it. If you are having, if you've never used your belly breath, I mean, you've never done a real belly breath before, you're going to have trouble with 4 in and 4 out. You're going to have students that have trouble with 4 in and 4 out. Do it this way. 1 second in, 2 seconds out. Repeat that 4 times. 1 second in, 2 seconds out. Repeat it. Followed by 2 seconds in, 4 seconds out. Repeat 4 times. Followed by 4 seconds in, 8 seconds out. 4 times. And by the time you've hit that 4 seconds in, 8 seconds out, repeat 4 times. There's almost everybody in the room. So they're asleep. Now to calm your heart, you can do this in, hold, out breathing practice. This is a difference. It's very different. Purse your lips, okay? Take a 4-second breath in through your lips. This is not breathing through your nose, it's breathing through your lips. So suck that air in, okay? And then breathe out through your nose. Close your mouth, breathe out through your nose. It's hard for me to do this. I mean, I get lightheaded just doing this. If I take a 4-second breath in through my lips and breathe out through my nose. And don't do that if you have a cold or allergies. But that calms your heart. It should be no more than 60 beats a minute. That's what your calm heart rate is. And if you feel your heart racing a little bit, how often do you feel your heart? It should be 60 beats a minute. Put your finger in your neck and feel it. There are literally, I think there's 25 different breathing exercises for everything. You can look them up. I only use the ones that I've used with kids. I teach all kids these things. Wait a minute, my little bar's broken again. And repeat that 4 times. 4 in, 4 out, repeat 4 times. 4 in, 4 out, repeat 4 times. This is, it gets me habit here, okay? I cannot tell you what a difference this makes. Use, and if you are teaching little kids, I use this for adults. There's a large expanding Hoberman sphere for 4-second breathing, not the little one, but the big one. Okay, it makes about, it's a ball about size fit inside 2 hands holding it. And as you spread it out, it takes about 4 seconds to open it out and 4 seconds to close it. Okay, and that gives kids a real sense of the space that's required for that breathing. Okay. Works wonderfully with young children. Works great with elderly too. This is heart and belly breathing. Again, deep, slow, rhythmic, diaphragmatic breathing. Always tell them, put your tongue in the right place. This slows your heart rate, reduces your blood pressure, reduces tension, reduces cortisol. Don't you love that child's face? I think she's about 6. I think she's about 6. But she's so into it. Belly breathing, you can teach it. When nap time comes, lie still. There's a note about the eyes. I'll show it to you in a minute. Place a stuffed toy on the tummy. Say, I like at the doctor. Keep your tongue in your mouth. Pant slowly and softly to test it. Is it going up and down? And breathe in and blow out and repeat. They literally will fall asleep. You can call it bunny belly breathing, whatever you want to. You use posters. It's any time at nap time. Now, this is a note about children closing their eyes. Do not instruct children to close their eyes. I tell you, I say, don't close your eyes. Just look down where you can see your belly. And if you want to close them, fine, but you don't have to. Look, closing your eyes takes a lot of trust. And this was built for homeless children. Homeless children don't have a lot of trust, neither children living in domestic violence. Neither do children going to most schools. So asking children to close their eyes can actually increase their distress. They'll do it because many of them, at least a third of them, are going to follow your instruction. But it's going to make them more nervous, more upset, more tense. They're going to have more difficulty breathing. So don't ask them to close them. Just tell them to look down. Just look down as far as they can. Look at your toes. Look at your nose, whatever. But you want to give them instruction. They call it elephant breath. Gently breathe in through the nose and long breath out through the mouth. Breathe into the nose. I'll use posters. Just leave them up in the room with you, and they will be subliminal teaching all the time. Start every class or if you're doing therapy, Start every group session, every support group, every classroom, every individual counseling session with a breathing exercise. If you did that 6 times a day for 175 days a year, that's what school is, times 12 years, you'd have lifelong habits built by the time the second year came. Yeah, that's all it takes. Just putting it number 1 on your list. And this is my favorite one to teach. I'm going to move this little bar again. This is one I love to teach. It's called Build and Store Your Calming Biochemicals. You know your calming biochemicals, right? Serotonin, oxytocin, dopamine, and endorphin. So it's called 4x4. Now, 4x4 belly breathing. Engage your diaphragm. Engage your diaphragm. Get married to it. Go and then clockwise. Put your tongue where it's supposed to be. Do your little panting. Get sure you're using it. Then go clockwise around the square. Starting at the top of the square. Start right here. Okay. Breathe in for 4 seconds. In through your nose or in through your mouth. I don't care which one you use. All right. Then hold it for 4 seconds to get the most oxygen in the brain. Then blow it out for 4 seconds. And then continue to release the breath without any pressure at all for 4 seconds. Don't hold your breath again. Just blow it out. Hold it. Take the breath in. Hold it for 4 seconds. Blow it out for 4 seconds. And then just without blowing anymore, just release the pressure. Okay. Now, I have to tell you, this is 4x4. It's not the same as box or boxed breathing. It's not the type of that the military teaches you. Okay. Box or boxed breathing calls for you to hold your breath on the last 4 the last 4 count. Don't hold yours. I don't want you to hold your breath. I want you to be totally relaxed. The military doesn't want you relaxed. They want you to take in the breath, hold it so you get the most oxygen and blow it out so that you are alert, but you're not relaxed. You are alert. You're on alert. You're ready for anything. They want you to, you gotta be a killing machine. They want you to still be able to do what your job is. Now, if you want to be sure you don't hold your breath and you're not used to it, letting your breath just flow out, you can instead talk or whisper. You can say, I am okay. You're still letting the breath out, but don't hold it. In 4, hold 4, blow out 4, and then release. Now, I'm tell you, I don't tell kids this, and I don't have it on the screen here, but I'm going to tell you, this is exactly the breathing in cigarette smoking. In, hold it. You want the most nicotine in your mind, in your brain you can possibly get. So you get that nicotine and blow it out. And then you continue to talk, even though you're just chatting away and you're letting all the air out and there's smoke still going. You blew it out, but you're still releasing it, okay? That's the reason cigarettes, which are filled with nicotine, which is a stimulant, which actually speeds you up, are relaxing. It's not the cigarette that's relaxing, it's the breathing. The breathing calms you down. The cigarette nicotine gives you a little more stimulation. That's why at 10 o'clock in the morning when you can't find your name tag on your body, you don't know who you are, you go have a cigarette. You get the stimulation from the nicotine, you're awake a little bit more, but you know what calms you down? The breathing. Now, if you ever quit smoking, do not give up the breathing. That's why people relapse. People spend fortune stopping smoking and they've given up the breathing they used to do. And it was the breathing that was calming them down. So never quit the 4x4. I use the 4x4 for everything. This is what I live with. I'm not a calm person. I'm one of those people in that 10% on the right of the temperament. I am overstimulated. Even a bird singing, I want to shoot them. I mean, it's like I can't have joy when other people have because my clothes hurt me. Okay, it's like craziness. You're being so super sensitive. But I've learned to calm myself enough to sit in a chair for 10 or 15 minutes at a time. Breathe in for that second, hold that, blow it out, and just continue to release your breath without pressure by saying something. It's very positive to say, I'm okay. But don't ever give that breathing up. Now repeat that 4 times. It takes 64 seconds. That's a minute. I do that 10 times, sometimes 20 times a day. If I'm having a bad day, I have to do it 30 times a day. I can't do it a lot all at one time. 4 times is all I can do at 64 seconds, but I can give a minute of my life for 20 minutes a day so that I'll be okay. And 4x4 belly breathing for sleep. Sleep is essential, and kids particularly need sleep in order to have mental health. So you do the 4x4 breathing, and to get to sleep or to return to sleep, it doesn't matter which. You get up in the night, go winky tink, you come back to bed, you can't sleep. Do this. Lie down flat, place your hand on your diaphragm, engage it. Hi, diaphragm, how you doing, baby? Put your tongue in the right place and do a couple of little, you know, you found it. Then do your 4x4 at least 5 to 10 times. Now you did it 4 times just to calm down, but you want to go to sleep, so it's going to take you about 5 to 10 times. And if you're going to yawn, that's automatic. Don't fight that yawn and you'll be gone. If you're trying to get somebody to sleep, little ones, you can put your hand on their diaphragm and their hand on your diaphragm. Oh, that is so cool. That little bitty hand laying on there. And you can do the 4x4 and they will go to sleep. Well, one of you will go to sleep. They're probably going to get up off the bed and do whatever, but you'll be asleep. It works. I've used this for years. My husband had a PAP machine and an oxygen machine and wore pictures on the TV so he could go to sleep at night. And I would go to sleep with all that going on. Nobody could understand how. Well, I learned the trick. 4x4, baby. Or whistle or sing. Both immediately stop the flow of cortisol, increase the calming biochemicals. And why do they do that? Well, it's more air out than it's taken in. Why do you think they tell us to whistle in the dark? The dark is scary. We can make it through the dark much easier when we're whistling or doing belly breathing. So if you're down a dark alley, belly breathe and you'll be able to protect yourself a lot better. You don't change the situation, you change you. And you're literally healing your body when you do that. Really, it rescues us. Or smile, fake it. Look, I'm not telling you to stuff your feelings down, just fake smiling. It makes breathing a whole lot easier. And look, your brain doesn't know. Even fake smiling calms us down automatically. I love that picture. When I drive down the road, I have a pretend cigarette. It's a cut off straw in my hand. And I'm doing my 4x4 breathing on it. Hold, blow. And I'm smiling like a lunatic. Look, there's nobody with traffic for me. I have no traffic at all. People are pulling off to the right and the left. They're escaping the roads because they think it's a crazy woman next to them. They're right. It works. Not just for me, but for everybody else. I'm helping them. They didn't know that. I'm keeping them alive. And when words get heated or behavior's out of control, always model. You're in charge of modeling. Back up. I put my hand up when I'm dealing with somebody, especially adults that are just, foaming at the mouth, coming at you. They're moving towards you. You can feel their breath on you. I just put my hand up very slowly and go, just a second. I need to just take a step back and then blow out 7 to 11 seconds and appeal until you can feel calm. And I literally, with teenagers, I'll go, wait a minute, honey, I'm going to save your life. That wasn't enough to save anything. I'm going to blow out slower and softer. And they're just stunned. They don't know what to do unless they've been taught. And then I'll go, want to do it with me? Both of us can get a lot calmer. If you have taught this and you practiced it, but if you're surprising somebody, it makes a good surprise to do the B&B, back up and breathe. Back. Now, my husband added one to this. He had said, look, honey, when you're going for somebody's jugular and I see you moving toward them with your teeth flared, I'm going to come over and tap you on the shoulder and go B&B. And that's going to be back up and breathe, baby. Just relax a little bit, okay? So I'm going to do that this evening. So I was talking to this woman. I was about to take her jugular out, and he taps me on the shoulder. I give him an elbow in the gut. He doubles over and he goes, it's going to be BBB from now on. And so I just said, what do you mean BBB? Back up and breathe, bitch. And I'm telling you this because this is my husband. I would want to hurt him. So, well, yeah, but I mean, it's like I couldn't for like 2 seconds remember what B&B was when I was upset. So I had to practice it over and over again for like almost a year before I was able to back. He'd give me the look across the room and I go, gotcha. I'm backing up and breathing. I'm walking away. I'm not spending my energy on this person. I got a lot healthier. Leave them in calming down. Quite literally. I never had more pleasure walking away people when they're still screaming at me because I'm in control and they're not. I've, they can't push my buttons. I take my button off. I used to carry my button in my pocket. You can get to it if you need to, but I don't even have mine at home anymore. I used to leave it on the dresser in the morning, my button that you could push, and my string you could jerk, and that chain you could pull. No, I don't have them with me anymore. Well, my kids will tell you different, but most of the time I leave them at home. And what if you're bored? Breathing work for you there? Dad, come right, it'll work for you. Do your panting, but do it differently. Pant like the dog, very rapidly. Your diaphragm is just bouncing, 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 baby. Woo! Keep your tongue in your mouth. Pant like that dog. Whoa! Then close your mouth and continue to pant. Well, yes, there's several people will come over to rescue you. And be careful, you can fall down with this one too. But you will have more energy and you know what to do with. You don't need that cup of coffee. You can stay awake on the road a little bit. I always say pull off anyway. But if you just need to get the next exit, this will do it for you. Not just, you're leaning against the wall going, have a little water and pant. It's really remarkable. It's instant improved energy and focus and concentration, and it's the cheapest way possible. It's really remarkable. Breathing does it all. You've just made fake belly laughing better than smoking. And remember, boredom triggers a distress and auto pain reflex. When kids are bored, you can't leave them bored. You can't say, well, just use your mind and come up with something, okay? Yeah, well, it could work sometimes. But it really does create distress and automatic pain. And boredom is worse for teens than anybody. Fake belly laughing changes our biochemistry. A lot of girls will actually use this whenever they're under a lot of stress right before tests. You can put the whole class through a laughter thing, breaking all that tension out, but also because they're laughing. You know how you laugh? Okay, well, you're actually doing the fake belly laughing. If you can fake belly laugh, that's wonderful. Because if you laugh, you're listened. It's just you're working on everything. And what happens to that hypersensitive freezer, the person that sticks their head in the ground that is the most likely to commit suicide? And breathing may not be enough for them because they're already so slowed down. Okay, here's what you do. When breathing is not enough, you have to breathe first. You have to do the breathing first, and then name it, claim it, and tame it. This comes from a video, and I'll tell you about the video in a minute. It's put a little card. This young woman that does the video said, my mother did me this little card. It was a blue card, had a little gold star on it. It said, I am safe, I'm calm, I can handle this. She, what do you call it? Put that little plastic coating on it, laminated it, and she carried it with her everywhere because you can't remember when you're upset until you've made a habit. If it's not a habit, you're not going to remember it. So she would say, when she get upset, her mind's going, you got your card? Yeah. I'm safe, I'm calm, I can handle this. I'm safe, I'm calm, I can handle this. And when you say it and you hear it, that's different than somebody else saying it. You'll go with the different parts of your brain are working. So you have a part of your brain that goes when you're talking and when you're listening, that's two different parts of the brain. And when somebody else says it, you're listening to them. So if they say it, you say it, and you hear yourself say it, and you hear them say it, that's four parts of the brain. Yeah, that's so cool. So you're building and building and building. Name it, claim it, and tame it. I'm safe, I'm calm, I can handle this. And here's the video. It comes from, you get it in your handout. So I'm not going to show it today because showing videos is not a good thing, but it's actually called Managing Anxiety Without Medication. Name, claim, and tame. Managing anxiety, name, claim, and tame your way without any medication. And it comes from, you can watch it on YouTube, but I was going to tell you where it came from. No, I guess not. You need to fix that one too. Okay. Or instead of all this belly breathing stuff, you could just laugh because you laugh automatically. When you belly laugh, oh my God, you could just look at that baby. Isn't that the cutest thing? It immediately stops the flow of cortisol and releases the flood of the calming biochemicals. You know why? Because you're breathing out longer than you're breathing in. You take that little breath in, then you laugh till you lose your breath. Oh my God, it's so healthy. It's wonderful. Oh, and it's the direction our breath goes. When we're laughing, it's a secret of its healing power. It's out for a lot longer than you ever have it in. It rescues us, literally. Belly breathing is a great way to help manage our survival reflexes, our fight, flight, and freezing. Belly laughter balances our biochemistry instantly. It's literally a rescue. It's the best medicine. That's why it's called the best medicine. Children are, this is an urban legend. This isn't true, I don't think, but I can't find any research to prove it wrong. Children are wired to laugh up to 300, 400 times a day. I mean, you know how kids are, and adults about 40 times. So kids need the laughter. Make them laugh by any way you can. And laughter is an instant relaxation. Laugh yourself. And laugh, it automatically stimulates and protects our digestive system, where 85% of our serotonin is made, half of our dopamine and half of our oxytocin. And our vagus nerve operates our digestive system and moves our those three wonderful chemicals it makes up to our brain. You want this to be happy, and you're using your diaphragm, and your diaphragm's a pump. Oh, for your lymphatic system. It manages your, or automatically managing your lymphatic system. You're managing all the fluids in your body. You won't have swollen. Oh, it's just wonderful. And there's laughter and cancer. This is, MD Anderson and 7 other treatment centers in the United States use laughter to lower the amount of chemotherapy and lower the amount of radiation you're getting, because it actually heals you quicker. Laughter and cancer. Watching a 1-hour comedy video, for example, has been found to produce an increased, now I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm just telling you this. Increased number of activation of T cells, increased number of helper T cells. Those are the ones attacked by the AIDS virus. Increased ratio of helper suppressor T cells, increased number of activity of natural killer cells, increased levels of gamma interferon, and an increased level of number of B cells. All that's great. And they actually have laughing sessions. In other words, after you get out of chemo, you go for a laughter session. You don't feel like laughing, you feel like spitting. But after 20 or 30 minutes of laughter, and it's fake laughter. I mean, they don't tell jokes, they don't watch TV. It's just they fake laugh because they're using your diaphragm to build your immune system that does all these wonderful things that goes on. I mean, laughter and music, it can take you away from everything. And it lights up 10 different areas of the brain. And singing in unison is immediate connectedness, and singing in harmony is a brain workout. Your brain goes berserk, and you're building the vagus nerve at the same time. It's wonderful. Humming to oneself or an infant calms and restores homeostasis for both of you. Music triggers both mindfulness and movement. You can't help yourself. Movements we choose, other movements we make without threat or triggers our dopamine and endorphins. I mean, we make our pain medication. We make our dopamine. And depending on how much we enjoy them, we can also do serotonin, oxytocin, and anandamide. We make our own THC in our body when we move, baby. Just move. Put on the music. Groove, groove, groove. I don't move real well without music, but I do. I still got my groove, babe. And movement for little kids. Look, distress management is all about energy management. You're moving your energy around your body. You're deciding where your blood, oxygen, energy will go. And some children's temperament require movement to expend energy and manage cortisol. If you made me sit down in school, you know what they did with me? I was so unmanageable. They sent me to the library to stack books, and I stacked books all day long. I didn't go to most classes, but I read the books that I stacked. They didn't ask me if I could read. But as I was stacking books, I was the slowest stacker in there. But I was managed all day long, and I learned the entire encyclopedia at the time I was out of elementary. I was an out of control kid that no one taught ever to breathe. They didn't teach me that being calm was safe, and they didn't teach me anything about my chemistry or anything else. I teach this to kids all the time. There are about 12 videos out there that can do it for you, and I can send a list of those. But it's all about your blood oxygen energy. You're deciding where it's going to go. And a temperament that has a lot of cortisol with it. And when I was a teenager, I had 5 times more than I needed to manage that. Never take recess away from a child as punishment. Children need play in order to regain and maintain their ability to think and learn and develop. This is why they cause you so much trouble. And hypersensitive children like me would include those with a higher sensitivity level to distress, and children who have been traumatized need it even more. Plan your moves. If you plan your moves, you can manage moving in a classroom beautifully. You have a poster called "Keep Calm and Move," and silent smile when you move. Move like a penguin, move like an elephant, move like a monkey, move with snapping your fingers or lifting your arms high. Oh, you let the children pick it. Every time you ask a child to move as a group, every time you ask children to move as a group, select a child to choose a way to move. Okay. So they will tell you if the penguin going to snap their fingers, or they just going to do the penguin, or just the monkey move. These are for little bitty kids. I teach this in 2 to 4 groups. This helps give children choice and control and a sense of safety. If they have choice and control, they feel safe. And if you get moving them around, let them plan for it. Let somebody always do it for you. And don't use this as a reward. This is for older students. Silent move. Penguins, Egyptians, zombies, marchers, skiers, skaters, and air guitarists. I do not use air guitarist. I put a piece of white tape across there. Jumping around like that is not happening in my classroom. I'm sorry. I do the skaters, the skiers, the marchers, the zombies, the Egyptians, the penguins, whatever else. And every child gets an opportunity to choose. I'll have a child who's the most miserably acting child in the classroom, and as soon as he gets a chance to choose, he will always behave. Choose from the top of the roster, then one, mix the boys and girls, however you have to do it, give everybody a chance. Teach basic yoga. Look at the age of these children. It builds balance and coordination and helps achieving calm. They can't be hitting each other when their hands are together and with their little feet are up in the air, okay? But they're learning concentration and coordination and focus and self-control. They're learning all of that. That's tree pose. You put a dot on the floor 3 to 5 feet away so they can stare at it, because you want to stare at something so that you can hold yourself better balance. If you're having trouble with balance, you can hold a chair, but always look at one place on the floor. Start with your arms raised. Take several slow, deep breaths in and out. Put your tongue in the right place. Usually belly breathing. Raise one foot and place it on the opposite leg. Look how low they're putting it. When balance is achieved, switch the legs, then raise the position. You can actually get up to right above your kneecap and putting it on your thigh. I can't, but I used to. A tree pose. Kids love it. Lie on the back. Teenagers love it. Teenagers love this. A teacher who spends 3 minutes of beginning class doing a tree pose and basic breathing has at least 45 minutes of kids' attention. Leg stretch, it helps with the stomach and discomfort and constipation. So when they have a little leg up there, you're going to have a little backfire. So you take some breath. You can read these things when you get it. Change the legs and repeat. Bend one knee, wrap your arms so you can see it. This is the seed, rock, or polar bear pose. And you're doing your breathing on your knees, sink into the floor, for the comfort, just stomach constipation problems. And again, there'll be a little backfire. You could do the polar bear doing the same thing. Make a cup for the nose and roast your nose in your hands, and then breathe the warm air and float away on the ice right before nap time. All of these are using breathing. All of these use breathing. All of them use breathing. And look, everything improves with movement. You're learning. Sitting quietly and after 20 minutes of walking triggers your endorphins. Oh, baby, everything improves. And stretching counts. Okay. Now, you can also practice silent communication. You want to keep things quiet, use signals and signs and post them in the classroom. And, clap your hands to get everybody's attention, or don't turn the lights on and off. It causes all sorts of brain problems. Raise your hand first, time out, open, close. Whenever you can, use that silent. Use posters to reinforce the rules. Go over them daily. Reduce the likelihood of interactions. What does no sound mean? What does whisper mean? When do you use it? When do you use a caulk? Outside, you can do Yahoo, but not in the classroom. And ask for help from children. They will always be helpful. Even teenagers are helpful. At least 90% of them. There's 10% that'll throw their little back out. But now, we have to match our distress management skills and habits to our temperaments. Not everybody can do all the ones, but every one of these is about breathing, but it's something else too. Now remember, I need to move my little bar down here to the bottom. When we're matching our distress management habits to our temperaments, I'm talking about mellow, sensitive, high sensitive, hypersensitive, okay? They're all about belly breathing. You can teach mindfulness and meditation to mellow and sensitive. You'll have much more trouble teaching it mindfulness and meditation to highly sensitive and hypersensitive. What you need to teach them is 1 minute meditation from Martin Borison. Martin Borison has an app on the phone. You can get to it that way. And that's with most people. They have video and they have a book and whatever, but everybody's used the app. Highly sensitive and hypersensitive need 1 minute. Now, mindfulness and meditation both take time. I do 1 minute meditation with Martin Borison. I know what I do when I do it. I do my 4x4. That's why I tell you I do it 20 times a day. 1 little minute at a time adds up. And repeat it 4 times to get 64 seconds, get my minute done. And all of these use belly breathing. Yoga, mellow can do yoga up one side and down the other. Sensitive can too, but sensitive and highly sensitive need a little movement. And the same belly breathing is used by yoga as Tai Chi, except there's a little bit of movement. And guess what? The same kind of breathing is used in martial arts. Now, nobody wanted to teach me martial arts. I was a dangerous kid, but that's where I learned how to breathe, have self-control, have self-management. And they got me into it by telling me I was going to be able to use my power to, mess with somebody else's. But what I learned was I had no power at all until I was breathing. And martial arts tamed me down because it was all the power I need. I did, Tai Chi was movement, but I needed really forceful movements, and martial arts gave it to me. Now, you're managing survival reflexes, just managing your energy. I had a lot more energy than anybody else in the place, full of cortisol at all times. And I was going 90 miles an hour when everybody else was, picking their nose. And so I needed those martial arts. I was using the same breathing practices and the same habits of self-control, but it was in my terms, with my temperament. And managing anger. Little bitty kids love this. If the teacher pushes the wall with the child or pushes I don't like kids putting their feet on the wall. So I don't use the standing one. I have their hands on the wall, whether they're nasty little hands or their little feet, it doesn't matter. But I have a little circle of plastic on the wall, and several of them. And you push the wall. And what you're doing is put all your energy to push the wall and pushing your anger into the wall, and belly breathe when you do it. You're doing the 4x4 breathing while you push that wall, or you just 4 in and 4 out. And guess what? Little kids, when they're pushing the wall, other children who were not upset in the beginning all come help and push. And so I make it a group activity. How many people want to push the wall? Oh, thank you. You're helping us. And push and stand hard. If you're talking to somebody and they are making you angrier and angrier, put all your energy in pushing down the floor with your feet and legs. And I would tell kids, when you go into the principal's office, breathe, belly breathe, and stand hard. Just belly breathe. Just push all that energy out, belly breathe. And in the classroom or at a meeting, oh God, I hated meetings. I could barely stand this, but guess what? I could sit down, put all my energy into pushing down on the chair and lift your feet and legs. You're going to have a core that is so people can kick you in the belly and you don't even breathe. You don't fall off the beam, baby. You stand there because you've got a core. You've built it up sitting through meetings and in the classroom. Push down on that chair, push yourself up and breathe, belly breathe, belly breathe. You leave that room and you can tear up a phone book. You also pay more attention. Do your 4x4. And look, little kids, Mr. Mello, no matter what age, can do 7 to 11 seconds out. They just do it. Sensitive needs a prop. I use those little windmills. You can give that prop to the child, and what do they automatically do? They blow it. Or you can use the fingers, and you don't have to have the candles on there. Just pretend you're doing, blow out all 10 fingers. Okay. And you've actually been breathing very well. Highly sensitive, use the angel wings. Put your hands like an angel wings and go down. Down. That's 7 breaths out. Okay. Down. 7 breaths out. You're doing it, baby. But a lot of people can't blow the candles because it's like you're spitting on they'll spit on your fingers. I'm telling you, they will. But I haven't found a kid yet who doesn't do the angel wings. And then little children, okay. Hypersensitive, push the floor. And touch. stroking, petting it, even a stuffed toy. They use them in nursing homes. They're these ones that get battery operated. Be sure you don't let the battery die because the senior citizen thinks that the cat's died. But any stuffed toy, and a real one's probably better, always better. That just smells. And have you ever done poor man's air conditioning? We grew up without air conditioning, so we learned to lightly tickle my own or someone else's arm. It gives goosebumps. It's instant cooling. You've got to rub your arm afterwards. And for some people, it's actually calming. My children went to sleep with me doing this on their back. And I have 50-year-old kids now coming up, rolling their back around and going, Mom, still do my back. And taking turns getting their back. But it's called poor man's air conditioning. And then there's shiatsu, that's management. And you do this when you get in the car or after. And this is a wonder. This is the reason women get their hands manicured. They don't care about their nails that much. Somebody does this wonderful massage afterwards. Oh my God, it's marvelous. Do one hand, then the other. You can read the instructions when you get the hand out. And other ones that work are, what can we do when we feel tired or sleepy? Tap your thymus. If you go right in the middle of your chest, women have a little lump of flesh on their chest. It's about 2 inches down from mine. Is about 1.5 inches down from my maybe 2 inches down from my collarbone, right in the middle of my chest, and this little bitty fatty lump there. Men don't show as much, but they're right there, and you can pat on it. Okay, just tap it a little bit. Thymus comes from the Thymus comes from the Greek word thymus, which means life energy. And thymus gland learns just beneath the upper part of the breastbone in the middle of the chest. Now, it's associated with energy regulation and is part of our immune system. But what it does is instant serotonin. Serotonin's, what is it called? Alertness, restful alertness. Yeah, when we're tired or sleepy. Yeah, do our panting, or we can just tap we don't want to do that. We can tap our chest. Okay. And this is it's called a hand sandwich. It lowers instantly. The EMTs use it. It lowers cortisol instantly, starts a calming chemical. But if you're going to do it with a seated or standing child, ask permission to touch. Place one hand on their chest and one on the back, sandwiching their thymus. No pressure. You don't put pressure on them. It's just presence. And children have to give the presence. And it's called an armless, harmless hug. If you can't hug a child, you can do the front and back. And if they lean against a chair, it's even better because you don't have to put both hands on them. You just put one on the front. And I always ask, whether it's a child or an adult, for them to place their hands on their chest. Because when you cross your hands, put them on your chest, you're right on top of your thymus. That's where it comes, right there. And you then can put your hand on top of theirs. And you'll be amazed, just you're putting your hand there. Calms that child down. You can do it with infants. I've done it with teenagers, older people, not so much adults. Because the moment they put their hand on their chest and their crossed hand, you can put one hand. I always just ask them to cross their hands and put both of them on the chest. And look, that's where babies, look at that restful alertness on the right on the back. Now, the person who holds that baby the most during the first 6 weeks or 6 months of life teaches that child how to breathe. They come out gasping. You got to calm them down. The person is teaching that infant that it is or it's not possible to calm down. We're teaching all the time, and that child understands, I can be calm. Infants must know what calm feels like, and so that they can recover from the attack of the distressies. And if you haven't ever seen this, every hospital needs to teach this. If I'm going to go into every community and tell them what to do, number one, every mama sees this video before she leaves the hospital. Okay? If you haven't seen it, he has a book out, but it's not as good as this video. This video is worth money. Okay? And teach mindfulness. And, if you're mindful, you're just being fully present. You're able to filter out that outside chaos and super aware of you, the inner you. I do that for 1 minute with my 4x4. That's all I do. And look, you feed them and water them. That's the first thing you do to make them comfortable. Water, water, water. And focus. Does it have a flavor? Is it cool? Is it warm? Does it have how does it feel in my bed? This is a mindfulness practice. And smells can either trigger cortisol or a reward center. So you're cleaning everything these days and did all through the COVID thing. Be aware of the odors that cleaning products leave behind, because sometimes a kid's reacting just to that odor. And Support groups. Oh my God, support groups are amazing. Every school should have at least 10. Sometimes it's just more than they can handle, and that's trauma. And if they just get to talk to someone, support groups release the pressure before it harms their mental health and explodes and hurts others. Positive self-talk. I am, I can, I have, I will, and I believe. I have to say something positive with each of those. And affirmations. That's what we just did. I am, I can, I have, I will. Teach us to think positively, and they increase all our great serotonin, oxytocin, dopamine. Yeah. And they all do all these wonderful sense of things and increase our resilience. And they need to hear, I believe that you are, you have, you can, will. Not you are like your father. You can never do anything right. You have no use. Now, they need all the positives. And begin each day with a bagel. Okay. I eat a bagel. I do my breathing exercises in bed. All right. I do my affirmations. Gratitude. I pick up my cell phone, send my kids messages. And generosity. That's my generosity. Empathy. Well, I have empathy for the people that I would like to be off this earth. And then I laugh at myself for having empathy for those people. I think, whatever. Just start it. And stop that. Stop distress, anxiety, and trauma. Adopt that mantra. Stop that. And everything begins with our point of view. Look, we need to see ourselves as an asthma inhaler. Asthma symptoms, your blood pressure, your blood sugar, your body temperature, and all of those are elevated, and your digestion, your thinking ability, your immune system shuts down and slows down. Anytime you're short of breath and wheezing, coughing, all of that sort of stuff, if you lose it for even 5 minutes, it can be devastating. And for 15 minutes, it's death. An asthma attack can be terrifying, overwhelming, traumatizing if you hit the panic. But an inhaler can quickly and reliably reduce the panic and restore a sense of calm. An inhaler does not cure asthma, but it mitigates and manages the shortness of breath and reduces the risk for added discomfort and difficulties. An inhaler changes our body's chemistry. And our chemistry is the foundation of our breathing, our heart rate, and our behavior. It opens the lungs' airways and regulates our heart rate. It reduces our body's distress reflexes and anxiety and panic, and it helps restore a sense of calm. It's for managing. It increases our resilience so that we can manage what's going on and bounce back. And quite literally, we need to think of ourselves as that the most important aspect of an asthma inhaler is how we react and feel for a person, especially a child is having an asthma attack. And most often we have compassion because they can't help it. And they're overwhelmed, but we have sympathy for that. Now we're getting very close to the end, so I'm going to stop here. I'm going to start with compassion. To change somebody else's compassion behavior, to change someone else's behavior, we must be compassionate first. Think of the asthma attack. No matter how horrible a person is acting, think of them as having an asthma attack. You have to hold them accountable for their behaviors always. It doesn't negate accountability. And teach a lesson they can use immediately. Learning about their triggers is an important lesson, and always model behavior you seek in them. We must be calm and first in every situation because we are their models. Then train and practice getting calm as a skill. And with daily training sessions and measured progress, we need to do it just like we do algebra and reading and history, everything else. It needs to be a course. Just keeping healthy. So I'm going to stop right now and take questions. We only have 1 minute. Well, we have no minutes left, but I think we can take about 5 minutes for questions. And even if we don't record them, we can take them. You have more on your handout, and I'm not going to take those off. I'm going to leave that whole section there. But if we have questions about what we covered today, I'll show you what's on. Let me go ahead and put that back up. Mental health depends on having a physically healthy. When we actually develop kids' mental health, if we just manage to teach them how to manage their distress, it would reduce 50% of children's mental health disorders and reduce child abuse and increase school success and reduce referrals to juvenile justice and reduce up to 40% of mental health disorders for adults. Yeah. Oh, that's all we had. We were right at the end. I didn't know that. Well, look at that.
So Karen, I'm going to start with some of the questions.
Okay.
I believe that we were kind of talking about that, like flight, fight, and freeze, and sensitive and hypersensitive types. And
Temperaments.
the question was, where do fawn behaviors fall?
Tell me what kind of behaviors?
Fawn behaviors.
Say that to spell it.
FAWN.
Tell me what those are.
And I believe whoever asked that question, would you like to elaborate on that? Well, that fawning is people pleasing.
Oh, people pleasing. Okay, fawn, FAWN, not SAWN, because I'm going, what is fawn? Fawning behaviors. Okay, yeah, those are taught. Those are not, in other words, people pleasing. They're called fight, flight, and freeze, and pleasing. Okay, so somebody who has to keep peace at all cost, yes. Those are actually, they're not proven to be part of fight, flight, and freeze. They are acquired behaviors as a survival mechanism, because what they want to do is keep the peace at all times. They're more likely to be people who shut down than they are any other. They are not the fighters or the fleers. They are more likely a subcategory of the freeze people. But instead of freezing, they want to make sure that everybody's needs are met. They will not, they're not on the list. They are not on the list for life. They don't care about themselves. They will sacrifice themselves jumping through hoops. In fact, the icon for them is a big hoop with them jumping through it, with a kid jumping through it, because he jumped through hoops all the time. He wants to keep peace always, but those are acquired, and they're acquired because people in their lives are upset and they can't bear it. They literally want to shut down, but they've got to manage the situation. So they learn that if they can take, if they'll make everything okay, I'll make the sacrifice. I will do whatever it takes. I never ask for my needs to be met, because I will cause trouble, and I'm going to make sure everyone's happy. They don't have a life. They are peacekeepers, and in many cases, they make a life out of peacekeeping. They actually make a living out of peacekeeping because it works for them as well. It is a very dangerous thing to do for you not to be on the list and to be constantly constantly vigilant. And they have the most in common with the freezers, and that's where they would come as a subcategory. But that is a learned, practiced behavior, and you're strengthening that behavior over and over again, because you get to feel calm when everybody else is okay. And that's the only time you can sense a sense of calm, is when everyone else is okay. They go into the helping professions a lot, but they don't know how to calm other people as well as they do of changing the situation. They will sacrifice whatever they need to for that. Does that make sense?
Yes, I have people who are saying that is the best explanation of it they have heard.
Cool. Oh, good. I could add that to the training. I'll do that.
The second question is kind of in that same line, and the question is, why is self-harm under freeze?
Self-harm what?
Why is it part of the freeze category?
Self-harm, they're more likely to just, okay, when people fight, they are less likely to take their own lives. They're actually likely to commit homicide. People who run can get to the place where they end up not wanting to run anymore and can hurt themselves. But the ones most likely to commit suicide are the ones that just shut down. It's just too much for them, because they're the least likely to, they're more likely to use medications, legal medications, but misuse them. They feel helpless and hopeless first. They suffer from depression most, but they live with anxiety all the time. And it's not treated as anxiety. It's treated as stomach problems. They have enormous stomach problems because their gut is shut, because they're so stressed. They look like hypochondriacs. They aren't. In many cases, they are reporting very legitimate concerns. But what happens is there's a wonderful, that video that is on treating anxiety without medication is a person who is, you need to see the video. And I'm trying to think of the It's on YouTube. It's and your handout has the link right to it. You need to see that video, because the people who are most helpless, feel the most hopeless, are those that shut down. They just want to disappear. And how to disappear, there's no better way than to just take yourself off. Does that make sense?
Okay. The next question is, we were talking about the breathing exercises and such, and it says, how long does it take for teens to use these exercises?
Remember your thing on habits? When it gets to be a habit, they can use them on their own. 254 days for most teens. I've had my teen took 365 times 2, 700 and some odd days before they got it. But he went through 2 years of the teenage years, not 6 months like my other two. And I thought it was going to, I thought it was doing my child harm before he could not pick up because he couldn't think. I mean, he had the thinking of a 6-year-old, that's what teenagers do. They have that pruning piece. His pruning went on forever, and he was not able to pick up. The most remarkable person you've ever met now. But the teen years were horrible. So you have to keep doing it with them. I would say a year.
Okay.
That takes care of almost everybody. You have to have the patience of Job. You have to tell them, and don't tell them, you have to show them. I mean, if you're in the middle of a blithering thing and you start to back up and breathe, they're going to fit the picture. Oh. Once you've done it with them at least 50 times, they're not going to do it by themselves. You're going to go, why didn't you do your breathing? I didn't think of it. Well, it's not a habit yet. You had to think. You don't think when you have a habit. You get up and walk without thinking, I have to walk, unless you've been injured and you're learning to walk again. Unless you can't walk, you don't think about it. Talking is the same thing. You just open your mouth and it falls out. And sometimes you put your foot in there and then you've got that in there. But yeah, it has to be where you don't think about it anymore. And think about how long it takes a kid to develop a habit. How long did it take them? And younger children can develop much quicker. That's why I do it. Teach it in, if you want to prevent mental health problems, teach all of this stuff in childcare facilities. Every childcare. You can't reach the kids that are, and in pre-kinder and in 1st, 2nd, 3rd grade, up to 3rd grade, you can teach them anything. They're magic. About 4th or 5th starts getting a little bit different, and by the time middle school comes, Lord help us. High school can learn it because they're going to be teaching somebody else, but you got to have them do it with other kids. High schoolers need to be teaching middle schoolers. Middle schools need to be teaching elementary. Peer teaching is powerful because the little kids look up whichever way it is. Elementary looks up to middle looks up to high. College kids come in and teach. It's magic. Peer teaching of all of this makes a giant difference. Camp, all the camps, shelters, all the shelters.
And the last question I have right now, welcome people to add more to the chat, is what are the best affirmations for children who have experienced toxic stress?
There's an organization called Rainbow Days that deals with only children with toxic stress. They're homeless, battered women, shelters. They work in shelters all over the country. And they teach the I am, I can, I have, I will. The children cannot remember a lot, okay, but you can teach them. They have hand signals, and you must do hand signals. You want children to remember something. Put your thumbs up. Just put them up like you're doing thumbs up, okay? Do a thumbs up, 2 thumbs up, and say, I am. Point those thumbs up towards yourself. Just do a pointing with just your thumbs pointing towards yourself. I can. Pull your hands and reach out and pull them in. Pull nothing in towards you. Just pull them in. I have. Put your hands and fists above your head like I will, and then cross them on your chest. I believe. They do that at the beginning of group session and at the end of group session. They have had, children will remember this for the rest of their lives. They'll teach their children this. Yeah, I am, I can, I have, I will. And put the hand gestures with it. If you need me to send them to you, just text me and I will, email me. My email's on every slide. I will send you the how to do all of that stuff. Or you can call Rainbow Days directly. And if you want support groups, they'll teach you how to do those. But now they've used those for 40 years now. and in shelters across the country. And those are with really traumatized kids who are homeless, been beat up, and whatever else. And those people come back and want to work. And what do they remember more than anything else? The I am, I can, I have, I will. I am, and something positive. You can't put anything else. I am this. I can. I have. I will. I believe that I am. I can. I have. I will. That's the mantra. That's the mantra. At the end of school, we used to do that at the end of when people got ready to go out of class. The end of the day, it was elementary. They would do the I am, I can, I have, I will, and we start the day with I am, I can, I have, I will. So
everybody has asked if you will please share those. That would be great.
Okay, why don't I put them on the handout that I'm going to send you?
Okay, perfect. Cool. And that is all of the questions that I am seeing here.
Okay, so I'm adding. Now, I'm not going to send the handout until about an hour from now because I'm going to add the people pleasers. Do I not have a pen in the house that has a marker? Oh my God, I hate these pens. Everything. I'm using a giant marker. Add the fawning. Okay. The people pleaser. Add the I am, I can gestures. What else? There was something else I was supposed to add. Can you remember? I can't remember.
I can't remember. I do see a question about, are the recordings emailed? Unfortunately, the recordings are too large for us to be able to email. We are working on getting a YouTube channel up and going where we're posting these. So,
oh, cool. You did that. Oh, I'm so glad you did that. Bravo, bravo.
So we will email out links to those once we get those all uploaded, and then you'll be able to watch the video.
And, you know, I'm very willing to re-record these at any time you need them so that we don't have me moving stuff around and whatever else. So if you find any of the stuff that doesn't work, I can record, and no extra charge, you know that. So I'll add these 2 slides in, make you a handout, and then send it to you before the hour's out. Okay.
Sounds good. Thank you, everybody, for joining us for all of these sessions of Karen's. Karen, so you know, we've had just wonderful, amazing feedback to your presentations. We love having you here in Iowa.
Thank you for telling me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So, okay, well, I had a great time, guys, and I'm going to go.
Have a great day.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.